Hey team, today we're going to talk about leadership with Lieutenant Colonel Drew Pekala. Drew is an MI officer. He graduated from Frostburg State University and he commanded the 743rd MI Battalion, which is a signals intelligence battalion. He's got 5 deployments, 4 to Afghanistan, 1 to Iraq, and if that wasn't enough, he's headed back again after the Army War College. He's going to be the J2 or working the J2 shop at Operation Resolute Support in Afghanistan. Drew's got a great Army family. He's married to Joelle, and they have 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl. So Drew, we'll start off with just a kind of an easy question. What is your #1 leadership tip that you would give to your junior leaders?
So the one leadership tip that I would give, and that I have used, especially when I was in command, was, treat everybody with dignity and respect. To me, that solves a lot of problems and a lot of issues that are out there within our Army. And as a leader, you have to have that character and ethics to gain that trust. So to me, that is the #1 tip: is treat everybody with dignity and respect. That simple.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with the golden rule, right? I mean, treat others like you want to be treated. So that's a great foundation for a lot of other leadership attributes to follow on. So with that, when you, if we got all your junior leaders that worked for you in battalion command, and we got them in one room, and we said, what is Colonel Pekala's hot rock? What's that thing he always says? What do you think that would be? So
I think it would circle a few things. One would be a team player, and then be a team builder, and empower your subordinates. And I think those 3 right there would be my hot rocks. And what I mean by a team player, I'm not looking for an individual that's a yes ma'am, yes sir individual. I'm looking for an individual that is willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good of the team.
Team before self.
Absolutely.
That's good. Those are good. And then you've worked for a lot of leaders. I know you're an 82nd guy. I'm not an 82nd guy, but you loved your time there. What were some of the characteristics of the leaders you worked for when you were at Fort Bragg?
Yeah, so I don't want to get in an argument on the 101st and 82nd here, because to me, the characteristics or some of the best leaders that I've worked for came from the 82nd. I was a young captain, so they were very, very influential on my life. While I was there, I saw one thing constant among many leaders, and I don't want to single out just one particular leader there, because there was a lot of them. But the thing that was consistent with all of them was that they were calm under pressure, and they always listened. As a young captain, they would listen to me, take advice and or give advice, and that was one thing that really stood out to me. Is you were not afraid to go talk to them.
And that's a fast-paced organization right there. So the fact that those leaders had time to listen and reflect and give good feedback, that is critical leadership technique. And then, so you're senior lieutenant colonel, about to make colonel. If you could go back in time, let's go back all the way to Frostburg State, Cadet Drew Pekala, what would you tell him to give him advice to be successful in his Army career?
I think the first thing I would tell Cadet Pekala: take the time to think. As a young officer, a lot of us tend to rush to solve the problem, but we don't really take the time to think about the problem. I think that's the first thing. The other thing I would do is study the profession, because once you complete your platoon leader time, a lot of us think, hey, we've got this leadership in the bag. We understand it, but I would argue you don't stop learning about leadership. So study. Look at the books, such as sports books, some of the coaches. Look at some of the business books, and really, you're going to find a lot of new things about how they handled leadership.
Yeah, those are good, and it's hard to do when you're a cadet. You're kind of focused on the little things, but reflecting and studying on the profession is important. So speaking about the profession, we talk about military intelligence lieutenants, military intelligence professionals. What would be your advice specifically to junior leaders in the MI branch?
That's a great question, and this is one that I kind of fielded a lot as the MI branch chief last year. I would say my #1 advice to those junior MI officers that I'm looking for is good communicators. And when I say that, I'm not talking about just standing in front of the brigade commander or battalion commanders and being able to deliver a brief, but a communicator that can sit down and advise those commanders in an office, communicator that can talk to various different groups, not just in a briefing, but being able to carry a conversation with individuals and communicate what they need and what they're missing. The other one I would say is we're in a highly technical field. And by looking at that, we have a lot of information coming to us. So we need a lot of innovators. So when I look at an MI branch officer, I'm looking for that innovator that can kind of find new ways, whether it's with processing, exploitation, dissemination of information in the PED. So really looking for that. So they've got to be able to innovate and communicate.
Those are good. I think we've all met those MI officers that were really strong up here but couldn't get it out in a way that was helpful to the organization, whether it was speaking, writing, or products that they produce. So I think those are great advice for all the MI lieutenants. I hope you were all listening out there. But Drew, thanks for spending time today with Lopez on leadership, and we wish you the best as you get ready to finish up here at the Army War College and head back overseas. We wish you Godspeed, and thanks for being on Lopez on leadership today.
It was great, and you got a great website there.
Cool.
Thanks.